Hello, everybody. Jonathan Pulley here with West Coast Weather. Today is August 26th, and we're currently looking at the visible satellite imagery of the West Coast. Here's Washington, Oregon, California, British Columbia's up here. Right now, we're looking at a cold front and trough of low pressure that's starting to move down the BC coastline that will sweep through the northern Pacific Northwest region later tonight. You can already see some clouds and some showers moving over the region. There's actually a few thunderstorms as well over the open waters of the coastline right over here. Some of this thunderstorm activity is going to be moving into the Vancouver Island and the Olympic Peninsula of Washington and Southwest BC. But the chances are rather low as you go inland, but there is still some chance of some thunderstorms as the front starts getting closer to the Seattle and Vancouver areas later this afternoon and evening. And then we're going to dry out as a ridge of high pressure builds over the region later this week as this trough kind of just moves and meanders out of the area. You can already see the California area is being affected by this ridge, and this is pretty typical for down there this time of the year. And that also leads to their marine clouds along the coastline where you get a ton of foggy days over there down near San Francisco. It's been a while since I've done one of these videos. I've just kind of had a really busy summer and kind of been getting distracted a lot, but I'm going to try to start doing these videos again, at least one video every week that kind of give you guys a general look at the forecast for the next week so that you can be prepared for any changing weather conditions. So if you want to just make sure that you're going to see these videos when they pop up, just make sure to hit the notification bell down below this video. It's a little bell icon next to the subscribe button. Now turn on notifications so when I post a video you'll get a pop-up on your phone or your computer. So make sure to do that if you want. Make sure that you're seeing these videos as they come out. So without further ado, let's get right into the forecast. Now we're looking at the general ridge and trough positions on the European model. So for those that are new here or just haven't seen these maps before, this is just kind of showing the upper atmosphere where our troughs and low pressure, our troughs, which are low pressure systems that tend to bring our storm systems and more unsettled weather, and then our ridges, these oranges and yellows are basically where we get some sinking air that causes us to get sort of more sunny weather. It can also lead to some fog during the summer times a lot here along the West Coast. But in general, the blues means stormy, and the yellows and oranges means calmer weather. So as we play this through, this is about 11 p.m. tonight. You can see that our this deep trough of low pressure. You can see how there's some purple showing up. That tells us that this is kind of a more of an anomaly than normal. So that kind of shows us that this is going to be a pretty good storm system for this time of the year, and this will lead to a pretty strong cold front, at least for this time of the year, that will move down through the Pacific Northwest, especially western Washington and southwest British Columbia. And it's kind of weird to be talking about cold fronts in August, but they can happen, and this will lead to potentially for some gusty winds, especially along the Strait Juan and Fuca later today. But as we play this through, that trough is really fast moving and will be out of here by the end of Tuesday. So any remaining showers should end by later Tuesday morning into the afternoon. And then we get this ridge of high pressure that builds, and not terribly strong, but this is a pretty good position with it climbing up in British Columbia that will lead to some pretty warm weather here on the west side, especially on the east side, as well as we get some offshore flow. Those winds blow over the Cascades and then lead to some down-sloping winds that dry out and warm the air along the parts of the interior, like the Willamette Valley and the Puget Sound. And then we got this little troublesome, this is by this weekend. We're looking at Saturday now. So this ridge builds in on Wednesday and then continues through the weekend. But then we get this little cutoff low that starts coming up, and this might be due to, if I play this back, there's a couple of hurricanes and tropical storms down here. Gilma, Honey, if that's how you pronounce it. And then I forgot what the name of this tropical storm is, but these are all chugging along. And this will probably help influence some moisture that get pulled up into this upper level low that drifts into the California and Oregon coastlines later this weekend and the next week. The models are really consistent on this. So even though this is later this weekend, we can still get a decent idea of what might be happening weather-wise. So this would bring the potential for some thunderstorms, especially the Cascades of Oregon and northern and parts of the Sierra Nevada of California, But this also could bring some of that thunderstorm chances in Washington. But the models are all over the place where it's going to go. Is it going to just drift off into the inner Mountain West, or is it going to slowly drift up in the Pacific Northwest, giving some of the Seattle and Portland metro areas some exciting weather as well? We're going to have to keep an eye on that, and I'll likely do another video later, probably on Friday or Saturday of this, the end of this week, talking about this as we get some better details into when this what is going to happen with this upper level low. And then that kind of kicks off. Models start disagreeing after this point, as there's a bunch of tropical systems that are going to start going up into the jet stream, and that causes models to have a lot of issues, because if they don't get the tropical storms or the tropical cyclones right, then it's going to mess up the rest of the forecast. So we kind of need to wait and see how those storms evolve over the Western Pacific and Central Pacific over the next week. So if we go over the precipitation map over here on the European model, this is fresh off the press from this morning. You can see our cold front gliding down, and it's going to bring a few hours of pretty decent rainfall, maybe a good half an inch of rain during for some places that get into those stronger bands of rain and potentially isolated thunderstorms, especially in the mountains as all that moisture gets wrung up. There's going to be some subtropical moisture ahead of the system, which is going to lead to some higher rainfall rates as we go through this evening. But you can see it quickly clears out as we saw that trough moves east. So by Tuesday afternoon, right about here, the showers are going to be really waning. But if we can go back to this and we continue off into the future, you can see we really dry out as that ridge of high pressure. But then you can see this little low pressure system kind of bring some showers and isolated thunderstorms in parts of Oregon, Southwest Washington later next week. And so we're going to have to keep an eye on that. Taking a closer look at the Pacific Northwest, here is Washington, Oregon, Vancouver Island, Vancouver, BC is up, and Northern California is down here. You can see as we play the total precipitation through tonight, you can see maybe even an inch and a half up in the parts of the Cascades of British Columbia and the Northern Washington Cascades. Also Vancouver Island getting good precipitation. You can see this little heavier band right over the northern interior, northwest interior. So this is basically Whidbey Island, Skagit County, Whatcom County. Just barely clipping Lopez Island, the San Juans right here. This is going to be a potential convergence zone later tonight that sets up and brings some higher precipitation totals. This model, the European model, is showing a little higher totals than other models, but a good half an inch, maybe a little bit higher than that, will be possible wherever this convergence zone sets up, and that might set up down here close to the southern Whidbey, towards Snohomish and over towards and maybe the King County line as well. So there's going to be some locally higher amounts wherever those bands set up, but a good couple tenths to a half inch of rain is possible for most of the lowlands through tomorrow morning. Now looking at the high resolution rapid refresh model, or the HRRR for short, here's looking at the composite reflectivity, or basically what the radar may look like later this afternoon. But you can see that at about 1 p.m., this is probably about when my video is going to be uploaded. I'm talking right now about 12:30. You can see that there's a lot more showers on radar. I just looked at radar before this video, and there's a lot more showing up that the HRRR is not doing so well with this. So this is not going to be exactly how this plays out, but this is what the model thinks. But there's going to be a couple showers going through early in the afternoon. But as we go through the 4 to 5 p.m. time frame, even 3 p.m., there's going to be some showers, and this model actually shows potential for these to be some thunderstorms as well, coming off the Olympic Mountains over the northern Puget Sound into the North Cascades. I'm not exactly sure if this is going to happen, but this model has been very consistent. Other models have also shown this around that 4 to 5 p.m. time frame before the front moves through. This is the main cold front back here, starting to make its way down the Strait of Juan de Fuca, which is this water passageway right here that goes right in the Whidbey Island. And you can see then the cold front starts going through. There may be some thunderstorms associated with that main band, but it's kind of looking like those ones ahead of the front might be the bigger threat. But then it quickly clears out as we go into overnight hours. So it's about 4 a.m. now. There's a little bit of a convergence of activity over Seattle in the early morning, but that will quickly die out tomorrow morning. Now this is looking at the lightning flash rate. This is basically what the HRRR model thinks that there's going to be the best chance for some lightning. And you can see that it shows some potential with these first showers around the 1 to 3 p.m. time frame. But as we go through the 4 to 5 p.m. where the cells were showing up, you can see that these darker blues are starting to show up, which shows a higher potential for some lightning. And these go up into the Cascades. You also see that it's lighting up this front, the main front as well. So there's going to be definitely some potential for thunderstorms. This is not the most robust setup I've seen, but there's definitely some chances. There's a lot of moisture ahead of this front, so any storms that form will have a lot of moisture to work with, though they do not have a ton of energy to work with compared to 2 weeks ago. I'm pretty sure it was, or last weekend, we got a really great thunderstorm show. That was amazing, but it's not going to be anywhere close to this. Now look at the NAM. This is the North American model. It's another high resolution model that kind of helps us get a closer look at things. And you can see it also has some showers, especially around that 4 to 5 p.m. time frame. They're not as robust, but the NAM sometimes underdoes some of these heavier showers. But you can see it brings a lot more widespread rain, though, which would lead to some higher rain totals. And if we look at the total precipitation, you can see that it's not as high as the European model, but it shows some of the mountains, though, ringing out a good 2 to 3 inches of rainfall on some of those higher peaks, which is possible. But unfortunately, there's not really any weather stations up there for us to really know if it gets that correct. But really, 1 to 2 inches probably should be the max, at least according to most of the models. Now looking at 10-meter wind gusts, this is just basically surface wind gusts that the model is showing. This is actually updating right now, so let me update that. And you can see there's some gusty southerly winds, maybe some gusts of the 25 ahead of the main front from the south. This is for the Puget Sound and parts of the Whidbey Island area. But as we go through later this evening, this is approaching about 10 p.m. You can see the surge of wind that comes down the Strait of Juan de Fuca. Watch this area right here. Watch how it kind of pushes down. This is kind of a classic westerly surge of wind. This happens when you get pressure gradient across the Cascades as this low pressure system develops to the east. That pushes all the wind through this water gap right there called the Strait of Juan de Fuca, and that allows the winds to get through the mountainous terrain of Vancouver Island and Olympic Mountains. So it creates this channel of wind that goes right in the Whidbey Island, the southern San Juans, and also parts of Port Townsend, Port Angeles, the northern Olympic Peninsula. It can't even reach western Skagit and Snohomish counties during the strongest times, which it might actually do that. We can see it's really, it really comes in right about 11 p.m. to midnight. Some models have a couple hours later, and it's kind of hard to pin down exactly when these occur as they're localized features. But you can see that there's some brighter greens that are showing up. This is about wind gusts up towards 45 miles per hour. And if you really look right here, right on central Whidbey, there's a little bit of orange showing up. That's wind gusts up towards 50 miles per hour. This model sometimes overdoes these, but sometimes it also gets it right on. So the main threat is for some wind gusts 30 to 40 miles per hour, but there could be some isolated gusts higher than that as well. But these winds are going to be mainly calmed down by 7 a.m., but they're going to remain gusty with some gusts towards 30 miles per hour all the way through tomorrow afternoon for parts of Whidbey Island and the Strait of Juan de Fuca area. Some isolated power outages may occur if we get some of those higher wind gusts, but these are some pretty strong winds for this time of the year, so I wouldn't be surprised to hear about a couple isolated power outages, but definitely some rough waters are expected. Now looking at the NAM 3 cam, it's not as strong with the wind, but it's still showing some wind gusts up towards 43 miles per hour, which still could cause some tree limbs to go down as we still have full leaves on trees. It's still August. We're not even really in storm season yet. So we're gonna definitely try to tie down any outdoor objects if you're over there near Whidbey Island along the Strait of Juan de Fuca, so your neighbor doesn't get a surprise gift in the morning. Now look at the National Blended Models. This is basically an average of multiple different models, and this is showing daily max 2-meter temperature. This is basically what the model thinks the high temperatures are going to be, and this is for Tuesday. So tomorrow, the high temperatures are going to remain below 70 degrees for most of the western Washington, southwest British Columbia, as that cold front brings some colder air in, which is why it's called a cold front. But you can also see that the eastern Washington is staying below 80s for most locations, which is quite chilly. Well, not really chilly. It's a lot cooler than normal for this time of the year. You can see that even Portland's staying maybe around 73 degrees, but Seattle's staying below about 67 degrees potentially Wednesday. But then we start warming up as that ridge of high pressure builds, and as we were looking, so some high temperatures starting to get into the 70s, close to Seattle, and then mid 70s and potentially even 80 degrees as we go through Friday and into the next week. And it's going to be a kind of a small heat wave that it goes through, even some 70s up near the water, and probably up, and Vancouver Island even getting into the 80s in Fahrenheit. And you can see even eastern Washington starting to get into the low to middle 90s as well. So definitely going to get pretty toasty this weekend, which is which is kind of nice after all this dreary, rainy weather we had. It's good to get on one good last bit of warmth before we get into the real storm season later next month. Now looking at the daily 2-meter minimum temperatures. So it's going to be some pretty chilly nights the next couple nights. So this is the minimum temperature for Tuesday in the low 50s for some places. And then you go in the Wednesday. This is likely Wednesday morning when these low temperatures happen. Even some low temperatures in the upper 40s out west. And even in the low 40s out east in eastern Washington, Oregon, even some near freezing or below freezing temperatures in the Cascades. So very unusually cold air mass for this time of year. So definitely going to want to have a jacket on in the early mornings. But this time of the year, the temperatures warm up pretty fast in the afternoon. And you see as we go through next weekend, the low temperatures will start getting back up into the mid to upper 50s and low 60s. Now going down to California real quick, I haven't really talked about this much this video because there's really nothing happening down there. But they are going to be pretty warm this weekend with high temperatures getting up towards 100 in some places and lots of 90s, which isn't terribly uncommon for this time of the year, but a bit above average. And there's also going to be some gusty winds in eastern Washington on Tuesday. This is a nice graph from the National Weather Service of Spokane, Washington. There's going to be some hazardous boating on the lakes around some sudden crosswinds, blowing dust, and rapid fire spread. So just be careful out there with those gusty winds, mainly for Wenatchee, Waterville Plateau, Columbia Basin, all those areas out there, and even including the Spokane area. So just keep a heads up for that. Now looking at the 6 to 10 day temperature outlook from the National Weather Service Climate Prediction Center. This is from August 31st through September 4th, and you can see that they're highlighting those above average temperatures as we go through this next weekend, which it is, I'm pretty sure it is Labor Day weekend. Time is just kind of flying by for me. But yeah, above average temperatures for the holiday weekend with the 6 to 10 day precipitation outlook looking below average for the Pacific Northwest. But you can see it down here at the southern Pacific Northwest, including northern half of California, maybe above average in precipitation wise, as that upper level low that we were noticing that's going to be arriving next week and bring some elevated moisture back into the region. And the 8 to 14 day temperature outlook for September 2nd through the 8th is also very similar, above average temperatures, but you can see those above average precipitation chances are starting to move up in the Washington and Idaho, as well as that upper level low starts moving into those areas as well. So we're going to take a look at this closer later next weekend. Well, everyone, that's it for this video. I hope everybody found this video enjoyable and informative. I'm going to try to start putting these videos out every week again, especially as we're going into storm season. I kind of been slacking the last few months, but other parts of life need attention as well. But I'll definitely keep getting into these videos a bit more. I'm getting really close to getting monetized on YouTube. I'm gonna really try to get all the videos out later this winter. But if you guys just want to really help me out and get me closer to that goal of getting monetized on YouTube, just help me by hitting those like button and subscribe buttons down below. It helps get the video out to more people. The algorithm picks up my video more with the more likes and the more subscribers I have. So it's just really greatly appreciated. It's also just really fast to do. So I'm appreciative of everyone that watches these videos. I hope everybody has a very wonderful week and enjoys this rain before we get back into some warmer weather, which I bet plenty of people are glad that we're going to get. So I hope everyone has a great rest of the day. Take care and God bless.